Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of Talking Wylder. I really wanted to start this series because I was excited to spotlight the incredible women in Nashville and the awesome things that they're doing. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode of Talking Wylder. I was laughing because I was like, I say we, like I did it. Asa has turned the office. I mean, you've seen it set up as an office, but today it's basically a TV studio, which is not intimidating at all to walk into. But I am super excited for today's guest. And the funny thing is, we were saying off camera, this is really like us getting to know each other because we've only met once prior.
Exactly.
Here and through a mutual friend. And once I saw once I heard your story, I was like 100% you have to join us. So please introduce yourself to the people.
Absolutely. And thank you again so much for having me. I think exactly what you said is what makes this so special, because you could just meet me one time and then allow me to come on and speak here and tell my story. But
I mean, your story is incredible. So we'll get into that. But
well, my name is Valery, and I am originally from West Tennessee, but I have lived in Nashville almost 20 years now. And
oh my gosh.
I mean, I love the city. It's incredible. I've seen the growth and
You've
the change.
seen like 20 years ago in Nashville. I mean, you've seen it's a completely different city now.
Totally different.
Which is amazing.
Which is, I mean, it's
I
an
think
incredible
at
place
least
to be.
like it's great. The changes are great, or has it been like a little like, oh my gosh?
You know, for me, because I'm from Tennessee and, like I said, rural West Tennessee, one of the things that I love about Tennesseans, again, super nice, haven't met a stranger, going to take care of you. And so I hope that part of the culture
that
continues.
Piece stays. I get that.
But I also love just the food that's come and the different cultures and viewpoints. I love all of the diversity that's coming into the space now.
It's nice. And you feel like it's become just a melting pot of everybody, different coasts, New York, LA, Chicago. People are kind of coming in from everywhere. But I say the same as you, because I moved here 3 or 4 years ago. I lose track at this point. I just hope it doesn't lose that small town feel.
Exactly.
And I've spoken about this in a few other interviews where it's like, to me, and I this has to stay here, and I will do my best to make sure it does. The women here are so collaborative and kind to each other. And, working in the industry that I was in New York and LA, I have very dear, great friends there, but professionally, it just always felt very cutthroat. Yeah. And it's just cool. It's really cool, like to do something where I can meet you here one day, hear your story, and just be like, no, I want to talk to her more. Like, that's it. And so when I reached out to you to do this, like, it was just exciting to me that, we were able to get you and everything like that. So let's begin. So we initially met, you told me what you did. It's awesome. So I need you. And also you brought a little something. So let's dive right in.
Tell the story too. But, for years and years, I've been one of those people that I'm very calculated in the things that I do. But I love traveling. I absolutely love traveling. It's something that my family kind of helped me get into, and we would take family trips every year. We would pick a spot internationally to go check out that we had never been to. And so after a while, I decided one day that I was going to add to my bucket list taking an around the world trip.
Okay.
And
that's it's kind of a big undertaking. I love it. But yes, I get it.
So it sat there, I put it there and it collected dust, and year after year, I did not make good on going on that trip. Life gets in the way, and you're busy doing things. You have your career, you have your family life, all of those good things. And so finally one day I looked up and I said, well, my situation is not going to change unless I change, unless I do something differently.
100%.
And so I actually had gone with a friend to Greece, and we spent about 3 weeks out of the country.
Oh my gosh.
And when I got back, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to go back to work just yet. I was having such a great time. And ultimately from that, I spent the next maybe 9-10 months saving up some additional money. And I said, at some point, if I find the right priced flight, I
Like
am
you're
going
doing
to book it and go.
And what was your job, because I work in a very unstructured job. Was your job like a structured desk job? Like what were you doing prior? So like for me, I could be like, I can dip out for a month or two and kind of, delegate the looks of fear that just like happen back here. Like Chris is not leaving, but you get what I mean? Like it's not like a behind the desk job where it's like that unrealistic for me to kind of leave for a minute, but you were in a very structured, and 9 to 5, I can assume, kind of. Okay.
And even that's a pretty cool piece of the story as well.
Yeah.
9 to 5 corporate job. And they had some different policies where you could take time off if you wanted to do a leave of absence, for example, but it would only stretch for about 3 months. And so I knew I was going to need longer than that to be off, and I ended up
so much.
I ended up having to, quit my job. But the crazy thing is I still work there today. So something that I thought I was going to have to give up and leave and never be able to come back to.
So you straight up, you left for how long? A year?
I was gone for 6 months. Now,
okay,
I would have loved to stay for a year if I could, but it was just 6 months. But even that, I just loved it because every day was an opportunity to do something that I wanted to do, something new, an opportunity to meet different people and to be in different places. And so it's almost like getting to feel and experience what retirement might be like.
Yeah.
When but
again, like at an age where you're still like able to go and do and like be.
Exactly. 100%.
So you told them like you were heading out, and where was the first place? So just to be clear, like left your job for 6 months, went out. Did you have like a set time frame? Like you were like, hey, I'm going to be gone for this to this, or were you just like, I'm out and I'll figure it out on the road?
So I'm kind of one of those people that needs a bit of balance. Like I said, risk taking is great, but for me, I need it to be a little calculated. And so I love Excel. I have color coded lists. I was checking things off, and for that trip, I probably planned out about 50% of it in terms of booking those things in advance. But I also wanted it to be flexible if I came across some things that
cool that you wanted to go or do. And where was the first place that you went?
The first place that I went was Dublin.
Oh my gosh.
I had never been to Ireland before. And
you went by yourself?
I went by myself,
yes.
But again, the story, if we had more time, I could go into more depth, but
we can turn this into a 2-parter. I am very into it. So, or have you back on to like talk more about it.
I would love that. I went by myself, but the piece with Ireland is I had met someone a couple years before on another trip, and he is from Ireland. He's Irish, and I just sent him a message on Instagram, and I said, hey, I'm going to be there. Can you tell me some cool things that local people would do? And he was like, oh, I'll do better than that. I'll show you around. And so in the evenings when he wasn't working, he would take me out to different places. He ended up taking me to his parents' home for the weekend.
Oh my gosh.
They cooked me an Irish breakfast. We did like a little road trip. And so it was something that I couldn't have planned for myself.
Yeah.
And so everybody all around the world, I just had experiences like that with people that I had previously known or had never met before.
And I
think
just
magical.
There's just a great, I don't want to say lesson, because this isn't about like teaching people. It's more about like sharing experiences that people can relate to, that inspire people, which is one of the reasons why I started this. But for me, there's always been something, when I got divorced, that I spent a year, not all in one piece, but I spent a year traveling by myself, or I would meet a group somewhere and do something. And there's something so empowering, especially being a woman, in traveling by yourself and not being scared to do so, and going to dinners by yourself and meeting local people. I went to, the way I can relate to this is I went to Italy by myself, and one of the evenings I went to a local restaurant. I was like, what's the most like locally owned, not touristy restaurant? And I went there and ended up like in the kitchen with the woman that owned it, who did not speak English, and like just like doing and everything. And I don't know, there's just something like sitting there that night. I just remember this feeling, and the fact that you probably had it for 6 months, this feeling of like, I did this. I'm here. Yes. I'm meeting people. I've got journals from that time. Like, of just, again, there's just something that feels so independent and empowering, with not needing to go with a friend, being able to do what you want to do on your own time. And there's something for me that's very, also just very, not refreshing isn't the right word, but it's like a reset. Like your time, your space, because how often do we have, especially, you know, as women with jobs, you know, just society and social media these days, like we don't have much time to just do what we want to do.
No.
Like you said, until retirement or until you get a 2-week vacation. Always some responsibility. And I think what's so inspiring about your story is like, you did it. You're like, I'm not getting younger. My situation will always be the same. So it's up to me to change it and to do something about it.
And like you said, I mean, I don't necessarily think that international travel or long-term travel is something that everybody wants to do, but I hope what people take from this is if there is just something that you want to do, you know, do a little bit of planning, but don't stop yourself. Take those first steps because you can do it. And when 100%. I finished, I was coming home in the airplane, and as I was looking at the lights of the Nashville city, I was like, I did this. Yeah. I did it, you know. And you have that sense of accomplishment. So even with all of the great experiences that I had, now I use that as leverage. If there's something else that I want to do that's in a different space, I'm like, I can do it. Yeah. I literally traveled around the world. There's nothing that I can't do. Like you said, just like super empowering. And we're kind of running on time right now, but I do need to ask you like your favorite place. Oh gosh. I know it's probably hard to pick because they're all probably a favorite for like a different reason, but I guess a place that like very distinctly like sticks out in your mind. You know, the one from that particular trip that sticks out quite a bit, I was in Bali and I spent more time there than I spent in some of the other places. So maybe that gives it an unfair advantage, but I don't know, the food was just so beautiful and clean, and the spirit that everybody had there, it was
I've heard it's incredible.
Oh my gosh, it just makes you, again, just come alive, and you feel so vibrant and just so in tune with yourself and with everything else around you, nature, people. I really, really loved it there. I mean, it felt amazing to be in Bali.
I had that kind of experience in Costa Rica. I was just going through a really hard time in life during that year that I was traveling. And I had that experience there where it was like, I was barefoot, dirty, eating like fruit with my hands, like on the beach, like that kind of thing. And there was just like a spirit there that, what do they call it? Pura Vida. And it's just, it sounds like that, just a very clean, innocent,
and kind of goes back to what you were saying too. Again, like you don't have people being judgmental or maybe, you know, these self-imposed things that you're putting on yourself without anybody else putting that pressure on you, but you don't have that. You can be barefoot. You can be dirty, you know.
No makeup, like a dirt bag. People are like, dirty? What do you mean? No, literally like covered in like dirt. It's really dusty there. No, but again, it's just, it's so exciting to like have met you and to be able to have you on, because I think as women too, we can really hold ourselves back because we make decisions and they're fear-based. Like, okay, if I do this, what are the consequences? And sometimes we tend to think too much. And obviously there's like financial restraints that a lot of us have, but it can be just as simple as like going on a road trip by yourself, or I don't know, just it doesn't have to be, like you said, like traveling the world for 6 months or, you know, doing something that's crazy expensive, but it could just be picking up a hobby that like takes you out of your comfort zone, or meeting new people and sitting down with them. I've tried to make it a point to really, like, I'm the kind of person that at night I would rather like sit at home and read a book and spend time with my child and my husband and like relax and everything. And I've made it a point, like in growing this business, to put myself out there and meet people and meet women and try to have dinners with people and things like that. So I think it's the biggest takeaway that I'm taking away from your story is to get yourself out of your comfort zone, because truly incredible things can happen. And
you literally took the words out of my brain. Yes. I was going to say, get yourself out of your comfort zone.
And so I'd love to have you back because I need to hear more of these stories. And thank you for joining us this week. Yes. thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this opportunity.
Oh my gosh.
Even this takes me out of my comfort zone because this is not something that I do on a regular basis. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And I hope you guys tune in to next week.